Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al CINI, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together. Imagine living in a community where all of your neighbors not too long ago hated you so much they were shooting at you. And now it's time to try to form a community out of all those disparate points of view, all those animosities, try to make a neighborhood out of a community that was once in strife. What we're talking about on this episode of USA Global TV and Radio's Lessons in History is a history of the former Yugoslavia after World War II. And we have, my name is Al CINI, by the way, and welcome to our program. And our expert on that subject is Sabri Agimi. So Sabri, welcome to the program. Can you hear me? Sabri? No. Well, we'll get Sabri in a second, but we also have on our program an expert in European history, somebody who actually lives in Europe. His name is ROLAND FRIEDL, and he's a frequent contributor to various programs on USA Global TV and Radio. So, ROLAND, welcome aboard.
Hello, Al. Thank you for having me. Hi.
It's a pleasure. And every opportunity I get, I look forward to working with you because you've always got so much to offer. And one of the things I wanted to discuss today when Sabri comes on board, after we get those technical details worked out, I want to talk a little bit about the European Union and whether it's possible for the European Union to guarantee the safety and security of its members who were once at odds with each other. Where do you think that leads? How do you think that works?
Oh, my dear friend, that's a good question. First of all, working together with you, likewise. I always enjoyed working with you. Well, the European community, when it started many, many years ago, Austria just came in later in the 90s. The idea of the European community was, besides the NATO is a military organization, military pact, which also includes the Canadians, the Americans, and the Turkish people, is to bring like the United States to union different countries and bring them together as an economic power against the US. This was the beginning of the European community. The idea was bring them together, open the frontiers, people can travel through freely, meaning that you can live wherever you want, meaning that you can work everywhere you want, which is interesting for the industry, because getting the best experts from different countries without any visa or stuff like that, this was one thing. Then also bring one currency, the euro, because we had many, many different currencies. And it was very important to have a currency that unites Europe to be strong against the American dollar, because we are depended very much on the US dollar, because all the oil that came in from the Middle East and other countries are paid in dollars. China was not on the market yet that strong, so we have a lot of stuff from the US. So for us, it was very, very important that we have our own currency, one currency that is strong against the US dollar. That was the beginning.
That, before we talk, we're still waiting on Sabri to rejoin the program, and he should be here any minute. Until then, though, maybe you can talk about how the European Union has prevented a World War III. Now, one of the reasons for it, obviously, was to kind of bury the hatchet of all the grievances that were surfaced in World Wars I and II. And the European Union is about creating a kind of a culture that resolves its issues without going to war. How does it do that?
A very dangerous question asking an Austrian, because Austria started World War One and World War Two. So World War One, when one of the imperator's family was killed in Serbia, and I think that it was manipulated just to have a reason to go in war. Yeah, this was one way. And World War Second was also began by an Austrian, because Adolf Hitler, he was Austrian. I mean, we do good marketing in Austria. Yeah? So we gave Hitler to Germany, and everybody believes in the world he's German, and we brought Mozart into as an Austrian, but it's not true, because Mozart is a German. So asking an Austrian about starting wars is a little bit dangerous. We are a very small country, very charming people, beautiful landscape, but yeah, as I said, World War One, World War Two. To answer your question about World War III, is the European community an organization that can hold back World War III? No, I don't think, not at all. Especially when you look nowadays, the economy in Europe is down. When you look, for example, France is bankrupt. Yeah, Greece is bankrupt. Germany, the economy in Germany is down. You know, the automotive industry and the engineering industry was the strongest industry in Europe is absolutely down. They have to close factories. We have also in Austria, we have some car production from German companies. They transforming their venues to produce arms and military stuff. So I think the European community, to survive, maybe Sabri thinks different, but to survive economically, I think we need World War III, and it's going closer and closer. It's going closer and closer. Most people don't want to see it, but especially when you listen to Merz, the German chancellor, I think they are provocating it to go in a war and to rebuild the industry and to rebuild the economy.
Well, Sabri, thanks for joining the program. It's really great to have you on board too. If we go a little bit south of Austria, we enter the states that have formed from Yugoslavia since World War II, and a lot of that formation was marked by conflict. And how do we get those nations to bury the hatchet and live peacefully with each other?
Well, the 27 years ago, the war ended in Yugoslavia at that time. So it's interesting enough that although we went through the tough time during 90 to 2000, I think the lesson hasn't been learned yet. And unfortunately, if we go back to the history, how it started, like Roland explained about Austria got involved in the war. In this case, Serbia was the one that actually initiated the war in Yugoslavia, kind of triggering the Serbian nationalism first, like we said in the previous program, initiating through the against the Albanians, and considering that brought that up as a propaganda that the Albanians are to be blamed, that maybe they want to divide from Yugoslavia and join Albania, and maybe the economic crisis are starting because of the Albanians in Kosovo and so on. I think that's what triggered the Serb nationalism became quite powerful to the point that brought Milosevic towards 1987 and onwards, which then he used his power through the Serbian nationalism, revoked the Kosovo government by force, revoked Vojvodina government by protest, which wasn't that difficult, certainly influenced Montenegro. If we spoke about Yugoslavia, there was 6 republics and 2 provinces, and certainly now there are 7 countries out of it. I have to mention that just so we know where we start and where we're going to. So to 2000,
Sabri, we lost you. I'm sure he'll be back in a minute. Maybe this is a good point at which to bring up the map to show people where in the world we're talking about. You know, we're talking about what used to be Yugoslavia, the former Yugoslavia, and how it's evolved into 7 separate nations that are just across the Adriatic Sea from Italy. So we're talking about the southeastern heart, essentially, of Europe. And when Sabri comes back, I want to hear his perspective on how the European Union and integration in the EU is going to help those 7 countries to become productive, cooperative neighbors. And Roland, maybe you can offer a perspective on that based on your experience.
Well, I think Slovenia is already part of the European community. Croatia is already part of the European community. They both they have the euro. So just Croatia changed last year from the kuna to the euro. So it's happening slowly. I think with Serbia and the other countries, it's a little bit more difficult because it's more politics reason. Some people are afraid of too much Muslimic influence in the European community, and actually we're facing it with all the immigrants we have in Spain, we have in Italy, we have in England, we have them in Germany, in my country, in Austria. So it's a little bit difficult because we have elections. Every year there's an election in some of the European countries, and who are part of the European community, and the politics are really afraid when they go too fast and bring these people in, because we have so much problems already in the European community, as I said before, economically, that they're going to lose the elections when they go too fast and bring more countries in, because more countries bringing into the European community means that the large countries, or the wealthy countries like the Germans, like the Austrians and others, have to pay more into this pot that will be given to the poorer countries, and we cannot afford it at the moment. So I think it takes time to bring them in. Of course, it would be nice if we're all united, but we all know that it's very, very difficult because you have different nations. We have different interests of different groups in every nation. Look at England. England was part of the European community, and then came someone up and said, "No, let's get out of it." And he won the elections, and they got out of it. Now they're pissed off with the Brexit. Now they really know it was a mistake for them, but it's done. So, it's a play of some people.
What are the rules? If I wanted to become a member of the EU, I'd have to fill out an application, I guess, right? So what is it I have to prove to the European Union that I'm a good potential candidate for membership in the EU? What do they look for?
First of all, you have to prove that the legislation is independent. You have to prove that all the civil rights are okay, and many different stuff. And actually, the communication, the deals, they go for over years and years and years. So there are many things that you have to consider. It's not only the economy that you have to be strong, more or less, that you fit in, but it's only the legislation is independent. You're a democratic country. You accept common civil rights, democratic rights, and stuff like that.
Oh, Sabri, welcome back to the program. I'm assuming you can hear us.
Yes, certainly. I'm sorry again for
that's not a problem. Just great to have you back. What is it about? Which of the countries of the former Yugoslavia are now members of the EU, and what's holding that process up?
So the member of EU is Slovenia, that immediately have joined European Union. They are most advanced. They were most advanced in Yugoslavia. Then Croatia had joined. Now it's on the line. It's closest. It's Montenegro and Northern Macedonia. When actually Serbia is quite behind because of the issues that they have with Kosovo, certainly. And that they haven't proven yet that they are a country that actually adjusts into the democratic system. So they still have the leadership of basically they are the how can I put it better? They are the president of Serbia, the Alexander Vučić. It's the head of the media. They used to be during the Slobodan Milošević time. It's not just that, but they actually never show to be very much interested to join European Union. So they continue to be in good relation with Russia, although there was a war in Ukraine against Europe. Kosovo, it's another issue that as a country been recognized by 120 countries by now. But the 5 European Union countries, which is it's Spain, it's Greece, Cyprus, Slovakia, and Romania, that they haven't recognized the independence of Kosovo yet. So that's a bit of issue we're going through. although there is quite lots of conditions that was required by Kosovo to fulfill, they did it because of the bureaucracy in European Union and the way the veto works there. In fact, they accepted all the time that the Kosovo it's ready to actually put an application for to join European Union. Still, they haven't accepted that as a document yet.
Okay, among the politicians and the people of that part of the world, is there unanimous desire to be members of the EU, or is there some pushback within those countries?
So Serbia, it's about 35% pro and about 55% against it. The fact is that because the Kosovo was declared as independent, kind of recognized as an independent country, and NATO have intervened in Yugoslavia to stop genocide against Albanians and ethnic cleansing, they still feel bitter about it a bit. So the nationalism in Serbia is still high, and they could not convince them that joining European Union it's something that they wanted to. And certainly they took advantage of milking the best of the worlds, European Union and Western world for the cash and to trade cheap with China and Russia. So I think they find some kind of balance to keep themselves as in between North and East, West and East.
Great.
Sabri.
Roland, I know you wanted to make a point, but we're about to go into a break, so we'll come right back with you at the other end of this break.
Sure we do.
Thank you.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no? Lowering your price to secure the opportunity? Giving more while receiving less? Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Vargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
Welcome back, everybody, to USA Global TV and Radio Lessons in History, where we're talking about the evolution of Yugoslavia into the member states that are that we're talking about today. And just before the break, I think Roland was about to make a point. So, Roland, why don't you come on back? And it's always great hearing from you.
Thank you. Now, I have a question to Sabri, because we all know that the Serbs are more close to Russia than Putin. But as far as I know, last week
I can hear again.
Can you hear me?
Sabri, can you hear us?
Okay, he's coming back. Or maybe ask my question later to Sabri, because there's a change going on in Serbia, because there was a meeting between Serbia and Ukraine. So maybe the Serbs push away a little bit from Russia because there are some deals with the Ukraine. So maybe I want to ask him from his perspective if he sees a change in their Serbian mindset to go away a little bit from Russia.
While we're waiting for Sabri to rejoin us, and I'm sure that'll be momentarily, talk a little bit about Russian influence in Europe in general, because it's not like the Soviet Union entirely went away, is it?
Well, I hope we don't get much shitstorm on that. I'm a huge fan of Russia because, I was studying history and I was studying German philology, and I love read and I love Russian authors. I love the Russian science, a lot of stuff. Russia is an amazing country. It's a beautiful, amazing country. It's amazing people. And I strongly believe that the conflict we have now in Russia and Ukraine is not a Russian aggression. They sell us in the mainstream media. But the point is that, when Europe formed the European community, when we had this discussion before, to be stronger and have their own currency in the opposite of the US dollar to be stronger, the point was that the Americans have been very afraid that Russia and Europe go together. because the Russian resource, they have a lot of resources in minerals, in coal, in oil, and all this stuff. And of course, they have good engineers and a good science. On the other hand, we have, the European, especially the German engineers, when they come together, this was a threat for the US, absolutely. And that's why they provocated and make this Iron Curtain again and then again, because the Iron Curtain actually fell down with Gorbachev. I would say the atmosphere in Europe was more positive, so there was people less afraid about the Russians. They found out, okay, we can deal with them. When I went to school, we had Russian in school, and there was a lot of business going on, negotiations between Austria and Russia. We always had a very, very good relationship. But when Austria became part of the European community, we had to stop a lot of this stuff. And I know a lot of Austrian banks are still very, very involved in Russia, although it's not legally in the European community sense, but we still do business there. We have good friends there. We have a good community. But we got cheap gas, and now we have to buy very expensive gas from the US. So again, I'm not a Putin fan. I'm not a fan of any politicians. I don't go to elections at all. I don't give away my voice. But I love Russia, and I see exactly since many years what's going on in the Ukraine and how the NATO, especially the CIA, influenced the Ukraine and provoked the Russian industry. But it's a different part. But Russia is an amazing country, and when combined with the Europe community, as I said, resources and European intelligence would be a cool thing. But there is a lot of people who are not interested in this. I don't know, Sabri, how you see this, but
well, the Russian influence in Europe, Western world, and certainly the way they use their power from the time that they were kind of given opportunity to work with Western world. I think they abused it by sending and influencing the voting system, the the conflict of interest into the voice of the people of Europe and Western world specifically. I think they went too far with some kind of what you're calling the intelligent way of distracting the Western world rather than working together for better partnership, I would say. And certainly Vladimir Putin, I think, got out of hand, out of control during the time that he thought, and certainly I have to say here, he copied in somehow the way the Milosevic did. It's as soon as he started becoming a bit more powerful and was accepted in Western world a bit more and in world stage, I think he started kind of bullying the neighbors around the countries that they've been separated from Soviet Union then, and he trying to recreate Russia as a powerful country, which I think he did calculate wrong there. So it's not how Russian people are, but how they were led and how were they brainwashed to actually, instead of taking advantage of the opportunities that they have with massive land, massive wealth, to change that into the country that it's seeking for a war that they never win.
Roland, you had a question, I think, for Sabri before we. Has he answered it yet, or
go ahead. For issues I have with my connection?
Sure.
Okay, Sabri, I have a question to you, because before you mentioned the Serbian government is closer to Putin, to Russia, and less to the European community. I don't know if you heard it, but I think last week there was a meeting
until now.
Yeah, between Serbia, and there was a meeting between the Serbs and the Ukraine government. And so do you think there's a shift going on in Serbia as they're making deals with the Ukraine?
Well, based on their behavior, and certainly the Ukrainian president that moved to Serbia into that kind of special meeting accepted as that, and certainly Serbian President Vučić kind of recognized that the Ukraine should be a country that should kind of, no part of Ukraine should be taken by Russia. In reverse, so Ukrainian Zelensky, Ukrainian President Zelensky said that even Ukraine respect the fact that their partner Serbia in this case should kind of keeping within its own borders. That what it means. It's by including Kosovo, not necessarily Kosovo as an independent country that has been recognized by 120, and certainly was brought to this stage by cleansing and planning for genocide so they can claim the land. But yes, I'm aware of that, what you just brought as a point. And I think they seemed like they're moving towards West. Now, how the relation with Vladimir Putin is going to be after this meeting is going to be a question, and how Serbia is going to behave, whether Serbia is going to accept the past and apologize to the people that they kind of, their initiative, their nationalism, whether in Bosnia or Kosovo, even Croatia, they have initiated the war where hundred thousands and more were killed. I think it's something to wait and see what Serbian government is going to do in this few years' time to come. But yeah, there is signs they're shifting towards West.
That's a really good point. And I think anybody who's watching the program is wondering. Wait and see, which is a good point. We have to wait and see. If you were to take out the Sabri Agimi expert crystal ball and look into the future, where do you see this part of the world, and how does it coalesce into a community over, let's say, the next 5 or 10 years?
Is that a question for me?
Yes.
Well, at the moment, what we're expecting, if we were to actually have Balkans to join European Union, we have to see Serbia change their attitude towards the neighbors. So less preparing for war, less claiming that sooner or later they're going to kind of intervene in neighboring countries, like in Kosovo in this case. Is kind of they said that anytime we have an opportunity, we will claim that country back by force or by political means, not to be distracted, not to distract the rest of countries around to join the United Nations or join the European Union, that like Serbia have done so far. I think we are quite in good direction towards joining European Union and certainly becoming a bit more open society, where as soon as, for example, we have visitors from Serbia like 2 months, 3 months ago, and the students, they went back and said how wonderful they were accepted in Kosovo and how amazing country they thought it was and everything. And certainly Serbia behaved different way by instantly creating a crisis and increased nationalism. So the people of Serbia will continue to live in dreams of as soon as you enter Kosovo, you will have trouble. So I think I'm an Albanian. I'm talking about Serbia this much. Everybody could say I'm biased, but the fact is the Serbian government has been destructive since the war was ended. Obviously, the creation of the war and genocide that now has been proven already. I think it is important that Serbia was pushed to actually accept what they did during the war and certainly look to the future. And that would bring us into some kind of relaxed peace in Balkans. One more thing before I hand over to you for more questions, if you have. It's if Kosovo was accepted by NATO as soon as now, I think everything will be relaxed, because Serbian nationalist behavior, kind of ego to claim Kosovo back, will kind of end there and then. I think that would create a direction that there is no more energy Serbia should use against Kosovo or neighbors, but will use that energy to promote peace and good relation between people.
I think that's a really great point. And we have a few minutes, and maybe this question is for both of you. We've got NATO, which is a military alliance. We've got the European Union, which is a political alliance. And we've got the United Nations, which I'm not even sure I remember or know what that is anymore. Which of these, and they overlap. They don't completely overlap. They overlap in different areas. Which of these communities offers the best promise and hope for the people of that region?
For me personally, I think European Union have lots of conditions to join European Union. Plus, internally, the bureaucracy is huge. That is very difficult to have a quick fix. When in that region, we need a quick fix. and NATO have proven quite a few times that when they want to move on, like in a situation where they want to have Sweden and I think Finland join European Union, NATO, they did fix it for quite a few months. So I think if NATO come together and bring Kosovo into NATO, consider that we have a security force that participate in quite loads of peaceful kind of quite loads of actions with NATO, especially through United States for as a peacekeeping troops. They have increased the standard relatively near to the NATO forces. We have neighbors, which is Montenegro, Albania, and Northern Macedonia as a members of NATO. I think if we move swiftly in and accept Kosovo in NATO, I think we have fixed the Balkans issue for years to come.
It's very helpful. Roland, did you want to add anything before we close out the program? Your audio. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I'm wondering what's going on with the NATO next years, because we know that the Americans, especially with Trump, they're in and out and in and out and in and out. They say the Europeans have to do more. On the other hand, there's a rumor going on. I don't know if you heard about it, that the Turkey are struggling with the NATO, maybe to get out of the NATO. And you know, the Turkish have a huge army. It's a lot of manpower into NATO, and then the Turkey is a very important area when it comes close to the Middle East. So there's a rumor that they're going to leave. So I don't know what the NATO is going on in the future. If it's holding on or it's breaking down, I hope not, but we're going to see. And for the European community, I think that the idea of the European community was a good one at the beginning. To have a political, have a strong power politically, to have economic power. I think the point is that the European community, there's too much administration, there's too much corruption, there's too much money lost, and there's too much things by the European community. They want to change in different countries, and the people don't like it. And that's why the nationalist is coming up. I said, this is okay, but you go too far. And I think that the European community will not last long. I don't think so.
No.
Because some of the countries are bankrupt. Let's see. I mean, when we want to save France, I guess we have to print a lot of euros, and we will have an amazing inflation. So let's see what's going on. I think we have interesting, tough times the next 2 to 4 years.
Well, listen, go ahead, Sabri, real quick. Sorry.
Tony Blair said at one point that in order to survive NATO and to survive Europe, I think we need to come up as strong as United States, China, and Russia. He did not say as a country, but he said as a leaders. So technically, if we want to survive as Europe, we have to have a strong leader who lead Europe, so we can be on table to make decisions with Russia, China, and United States, rather than being on their menu.
That's Yugoslavia is so much more than just a conversation about Yugoslavia. I mean, we're really talking about the future of Europe and the future of the world here, because all of it comes down to the seed of Yugoslavia and the countries that have evolved from it. And this is a conversation that will be continuing in the coming weeks. And it's been a real pleasure working with both of you today. But before we close out, Sabri, if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Well, they can reach via Facebook or YouTube.
And Sabri Agimi, and that's easy to reach. And
correct, okay. Sabri Agimi, voice of diaspora in Albanian language.
Great, and you're an expert in that area, in that region, and you've posted a lot of content on that. So anybody who's interested can learn a lot just by following you. Thank you very much. And Roland, what about you? How do we get a hold of you?
The best way is going on my website. It's my name, rolandfriedl.com. And from there, you have a contact form and my email address. And then you can surf around and see what I'm doing for businesses for the last 30 years for international companies, my one-to-one and men's work. So rolandfriedl.com is the place to look at for me. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you both for joining us today. It was, as always, a spirited and very educational conversation. And I'm looking forward to continue it in future weeks. So thank you both. And
thank you.
Yeah, real pleasure. And I'm Al CINI, and I offer a program called Pro Fit for Teams. If it hasn't become obvious to you, when it comes to people, 1 + 1 does not always equal 2. 1 + 1 sometimes equals 0, and 1 + 1 sometimes equals 10. The goal really is to try to get people who have different points of view and different opinions to come together and form a productive community out of all those differences. And that's what we do with Pro Fit for Teams. And I can be reached by email at al@pro-fitforteams.com, or you can call me at 212-480-3730. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
What happens when life tries to break you? When the pain is unimaginable, the losses are overwhelming, and every step forward feels impossible. There comes a moment, a choice. Will you surrender or will you rise? From breast cancer survivor to survivor of domestic abuse to inspiring thousands around the world, Verna Haywood shares a deeply personal journey of courage, healing, and transformation. This isn't just a story about surviving, it's about rediscovering your purpose, reclaiming your voice, and becoming stronger than the challenges you never asked for. Discover Unstoppable Resilience, Heal, Rise, and Reclaim Your Power by Verna Haywood. Continue the journey on the Unstoppable Life with Verna Haywood exclusively on USA Global TV and Radio.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.